And you brought up the savings account stuff, and maybe this is a good time to put in that FRAX is actually has two stable coins. So one is the FRAX price index, the FPI stable coin, which is pegged to the CPI. So it's actually it's basically an inflation resistant new peg stablecoin. So our project and the entire ecosystem, greater FRAX economy, it revolves around two stablecoins, FRAX and the FPI. And FRAX is dollar pegged, whereas the FPI is CPI pegged stablecoin. And so some people ask kind of, how come FRAX doesn't have like euros or like yen and stuff? There's only dollars and then this FPI stablecoin. And the way that we view things is that the dollar is king in terms of unit of account and global commerce, at least right now and for the foreseeable future. But if DeFi and crypto is to have any possible unit of account that's successor to the dollar, I think it'll be something like the FPI, where it is pegged to a basket of consumer items, because that's ultimately, for human beings, the thing that keeps our standard of living the same, right? Like the physical things we care about, like food, energy, oil, cars, electronics, and these kinds of things. And that's what the FPI is pegged.
And so that's how we sort of reconnected and got into a deeper conversation talking about trueflation, right? So when we were super keen to ensure, because one of the things that we got, that I launched trueflation.com was out of the belief that the inflation metrics that we're seeing and we're told today isn't necessarily an accurate reflection of what we're actually physically experiencing. And I think the population and the general consensus in a society or in a nation is that is an unawareness or an underappreciation of the value of a dollar. A dollar is a dollar. It's a dollar today and it's a dollar in a year. But actually, with an inflation rate of 10%, your dollar is only worth, let's say, 90 cents versus the $1. It still says $1 on that piece of paper, but it's actually buying you, 90 cents worth of goods. And so that's why I think the FPI is a super interesting innovation and a drive in the marketplace that we need to protect the purchasing power of individuals, and not have that separate tax brought onto us through inflation that ultimately loses and diminishes the purchasing power that everybody has. So that's super exciting.
Yeah, and not just that, but also if you think about it, right? Like everyone's asking about, are these dollar pegged stable coins? Do they have like decentralized collateral and stuff? But a lot of people forget the peg is not decentralized, right? All of these dollar stable coins, they passively essentially are passive takers of the Fed's monetary policy, right? Which is fine because a lot of people want, dollars, and everyone does their counting in dollars. But if the goal is to have, self-sovereign, stable unit of account, there needs to be experiments like the FPI and more, right? That basically have new units of account that keep standard of living the same, but they're not passive takers of the Fed's monetary policy, right? And I think, for example, Balaji, who is like a backer of FRAX, but also just has a lot of thoughts on this stuff because he's been a really crypto native guy since the early days. He calls these flat coins instead of stable coins. They're
flat coins. Exactly.
Yeah, the purchasing power, they're not necessarily stable to a dollar peg, because that's mostly what stable coins have come to mean. And so FPI is kind of the first flat coin, is the way that he puts it. And I think there's going to be a lot of them. Like, for example, there's already another project called Volt Protocol that also is pegged to CPI. And so they have the same peg. And what's really cool about that is I actually think that this makes FPI stronger, and Volt, because when there's a Schelling point around a new unit of account, you can build, deep liquidity. You can build curve pools around it. You can have Uniswap concentrated liquidity. People can start using this unit as a potential alternative and maybe later a successor to accounting in dollars, right? And the more CPI pegged, or like self-sovereign pegged stable coins that follow the FPI's kind of track, the more likely it is for this unit to actually be a legitimate alternative unit than the dollar.